Mixing economies. When you mix two economies, you get a result like they did when they reunified Germany, which is that the West Germans were all mad because the East Germany had, of course, like any communist country, wrecked everything, and the West Germans had to pick up the bill for fixing it once they became one country. So they took on, all of a sudden one day, they had a whole bunch more stuff to fix than what they did the day before, and only twice as many people to do it. And the equipment wasn't there, and so on and so on. So it was expensive. Now I want you to imagine two islands, and there's a strait between them. The good island has jobs and a decent government, and you know, things work pretty good there. The bad island has a corrupt government, doesn't have any benefits for people, wages are terrible, pollution, there's trash everywhere, the streets are full of chuck holes, the place is a dump. So they built a bridge between the two of them, and of course everything goes to hell in the good island. All of a sudden they have criminals prowling, and they have people moving into places, say, that are for rent but haven't been rented yet, and you know, they're staying in the parks, and they're throwing their trash everywhere because they're used to doing that, and they drive down the available jobs for the very people that the good island's having a hard time employing anyway, which is the people who you know, majored in sociology or something, and just don't really, there are just not jobs really for them, and they finally kind of find a way to fit these people in, and then they get a whole bunch more people who, even if they are willing to work, don't really fit in. And all of a sudden you realize that your nice economy is turning into a third world economy. Well, suppose they saw that coming, and so instead of letting everybody cross the bridge, they just built the bridge up to the center, and they just had trade across it. So they won't let anyone from the bad island on. Okay, then what happens is kind of similar to what's happening with China, which is they can make a plastic cereal bowl pretty cheap here, but they can make one a lot cheaper there because they employ slave labor to do it. So you've got these people working in these sweatshops, producing goods for prices that in the good island you can't produce them for that. So you lose manufacturing, which means that you lose some more good paying jobs. And the people that are trying to deny that there's a problem say, oh, no big deal, because we're picking up service industry jobs instead of those dirty old manufacturing jobs that we don't have anymore. Sure. Okay, so there goes your $20 an hour job building cars. Detroit becomes a wasteland. And now, after you get out of Detroit, you find out that the rest of the country ain't that well off either, and basically it's work at a fast food place for minimum wage or taking each other's washing. And that, of course, is the ultimate service economy right there. So property doesn't go down. The number of people that want a place to live doesn't change. What does change is that this huge influx of cheap goods. In the United States, you can order something from China, okay? It's 49 cents for the first ounce of first class, and if it's over a 1/4 of an inch thick, it's what they call non-machinable. And that means that the postal machines can't process the thing. And they charge you extra for it. So it comes out to like $1 or something. Okay, but you can order something for $1 or even less than $1 that comes from China. And they send you this thing, comes all the way to your door, for less. If you took that same mailer and put stamps on it and mailed it to your next door neighbor, it would cost you more than it cost them to send it from Hong Kong. It would cost you more than you paid for the shipping and the merchandise. Because you bought the cigarette lighter for 49 cents or something. It came all the way from China in a little pot. I'm serious. Get on eBay and look if you don't believe me. Okay, so here's this this system where things are priced. Obviously somebody is subsidizing the price in there somewhere. China, I guess, must be. Is subsidizing the price so that they can sell the stuff at a price that you cannot possibly match. Which means that they put the American worker out of work and they shut down the American factory. Now once it's been shut down, it's not that easy to put it back into business again. So what happens? Well, the manufacturing base of the United States goes down, down, down. At this point, we sell war toys, you know, weapons, and aircraft. And that's most of our net exports. Almost every area, we're net importers of almost everything but those two things. And there's not very much of them, so we're basically net importers. We're running up our debt, and we no longer have factories. We used to have a thing of keeping our factories in business, you know. When the Second World War came, it was the fact that we could make a whole lot of steel right off the bat that meant that we could build the Liberty ships and that we could build even more airplanes than Roosevelt asked for, and he asked for more than he thought there was any way they could make. But they got to it. He kept begging for them, and they got to it, and they made the dang things. And they were good aircraft too, weren't they? Well, we'll never fight World War II again, but in the economic World War III, we're big losers. We don't have those steel mills anymore. We don't even build our own cars anymore. We've got a whole bunch of pieces of plastic and stuff, and it comes from all kinds of other countries, and it's designed by the Japanese because the American car makers just decided they weren't going to design good cars anymore, and the public fooled them and finally ended up deciding to buy good cars. And so they all drove off in a Honda and watched the videos and see what happened to Detroit. The free traders tell you, well, the problem is that you just can't see that free trade is the answer. Just like I can't see the emperor's new clothes. Because free trade's not the answer. Free trade means reducing your wages to be the equal of the wages in another country where they're paying 30 cents a day. And if they don't have environmental regulations, and they usually don't, then they can make another discount there, which means you get even less for your labor, or you got to pollute your country, one of the two, to maintain what we had all this time. We didn't need to buy that junk from China. It wasn't even any good. They told me, I was looking at a wood lathe. I said, well, where's this made? The guy tells me, well, it's made in China. And I said, well, I'm looking for an American-made one. And he tells me, well, you know, this is the mainstream now, these Chinese-made ones. And it's true, it is the mainstream. Instead of a good wood lathe that lasts for 50 years, you buy something that lasts about 2, and it's made out of this butter soft steel, and they have stainless steel that corrodes and all this junk. That is free trade. It doesn't work. And this is what's going to happen. We're going to keep on buying this junk until we don't manufacture hardly anything at all ourselves. Our debt's going to go up until nobody wants our money. We won't be able to make the stuff for ourselves, and the United States will go bankrupt. Bankrupt.